Good morning, my friends, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship at Stony Brook. My name is Maureen Shaman, and I am very happy to be your worship associate this morning, along with our minister, Reverend Margie Allen, though I am also sad, as it's the last time I'll get to do this with her before she retires this summer. Our Director of Religious Education is Deb Little. For information about our in-person religious education class schedule and how to contact Deb, please see our website at UUFSB.org. A special welcome to any of you today who are here with us for the first time, and I hope that you find among us inspiration for living and nourishment for your spirit. We are glad to have you here with us, and we look forward to getting to know you. Please join us following the service outside on the deck for coffee and conversation for those of you here in the sanctuary, or for a small group chat for those of you online, which you can find by leaving YouTube and going to our website. Click the link for small group chats. There, you will easily find folks who can give you more information about our congregation and answer any questions you may have. Since our services vary each week, we hope that you will return often to really get to know us as a community of faith. Unitarian Universalism, as a living tradition, is committed to freedom of belief and oriented toward inclusion, interdependence, and justice. You can find additional information about the principles we strive to live by on our webpage. We are a congregation of seekers who have come from a variety of faith traditions, and we welcome those of all ages, abilities, and identities who are searching for a spiritual home. If you are attending the service virtually, please watch the chat for the order of service and a few important links during the service, especially the visitors and feedback forms. We would love to hear from you. I have just two scintillating announcements to share with you this morning. Number one, if you haven't voted for the languages to be put on our new peace poll, the Peace Poll, please go back to the June newsletter, which came out on May 26th, and find the Peace Poll and vote. The deadline has been extended, so let your voice be heard. And second is let your voice be heard. Our congregation's annual meeting will take place online via Zoom after the service at 1 p.m. today. In addition to the usual important voting on our budget for the coming year and our incoming officers, we will be voting on adopting two proposals which will be fundamental to the future of our fellowship: the UUFSB Covenant of Right Relationship and the proposed eighth principle. Information about both is available in the handouts, which you can pick up in the entrance lobby if you don't already have them, and online by using the link posted in the chat and on our website. The covenant is a detailed promise we make to treat each other as we wish to be treated ourselves, a description of how we want to be with each other in this community. With this in place, we will have a foundation on which we can develop long overdue policies, including conflict resolution. The proposed eighth principle is a recognition of the need to evaluate ourselves and our congregation for ways in which oppressions, including and especially racism, influence our congregation, however unintentionally, and to declare our intention to dismantle them as we move forward together toward realizing our dream of becoming a true beloved community. Our UU principles are part of the Unitarian Universalist Association bylaws. We cannot change or add to them by our congregational vote. But in voting to adopt this, we will be accepting its call to action in our congregational life and joining 5 Long Island UU congregations and about 200 from around the country who have already adopted it, demonstrating broad support in our association of congregations for a prominently placed, explicit, and compelling call to the work of racial justice. For more information, please contact any committee members listed on the handouts. But please, after having some coffee and fellowship after the service, please do go home, turn on your computer or your phone, attend the annual meeting, and cast your votes. Let us enter now into the sacred space of worship with the sounding of the morning bell. If you are at home, you may wish to light your own candle as we light our chalice. I have asked June Cerveni to light the chalice as I read this chalice lighting by J. Wolin. Are we a people of holding on or of letting go? Holding on to rigid ideas or letting go and opening our minds and hearts to something new? Holding on to certainty of how things should be or letting go and living with the uncertainty of new ways of being in the world? Holding on to what makes us comfortable or letting go so that we may grow, which can be uncomfortable? Holding on to what makes us feel safe or letting go to make room to help others feel safe? With this flame, this symbol of our religion, let it be a symbol of burning up the ties that hold us back from being our true selves and reaching our true potential. Let it be a symbol of lighting a new way for us into a better tomorrow, and let it be a symbol of letting go, because holding on too long and too tightly is never good for the soul.
If you knew that you would die today, if you saw the face of God in love, would you change? Would you change? If you knew that love can break your heart when you're down so low you cannot fall, would you change? Would you change? What chain reaction, what cause and effect makes you turn around, makes you try to explain, makes you forgive and forget, makes you change, makes you change. Find a truth that brings a pain that can't be soothed. Would you change? Would you change? How bad, how good does it need to get? How many losses, how much regret? What chain reaction, what cause and effect makes you turn around, makes you try to explain, makes you forgive and forget, makes you change, makes you change. Are you so sure you won't be crawling? If not for the good, why risk falling? Why risk falling? If everything you think you know makes your life unbearable, would you change? would you change? If you'd broken every rule and vow, and hard time comes to bring you down, would you change? Would you change? If you knew that you would die today, if you saw the face of God and love, would you change? Would you change? Would you change? Would you change? If you saw the face of God and love, if you saw the face of God and love, would you change? Would you change? Would you change? Would you change?
Hello, beautifuls. So Sunday before last, the service topic was also the changer and the changed. So named after the featured song a little later by Chris Williamson, an iconic singer-songwriter from the era of women's music in the 70s and 80s, when I was taking shape as a person. In that service 2 weeks ago, I wondered how you might have been changed over this time that we've shared together, congregation and minister in partnership. How you, the person, you, the congregation, the flow in and out of this place over the years, and you, the fellowship, the entity in itself, with a history and appearance and character of its own, how all of those yous have changed. And during that service, you named something that I said or that I did that influenced you or changed you in some important way. Wrote it down on a little index card and I read them. Today, a second service on the theme of change, this time about how I think I've been changed by being with you, by the work and the play we've done together over the course of these 12 years, for some of you, fewer for others. You'll see me up here at the pulpit 2 more times. Next week is our annual Growing Up UU service with a focus on the first 20 years or so of spiritual growth in the context of our faith for our children. And right after the service, there will be a potluck picnic on the green here behind me, of the sort that we've often done in the past at homecoming, but without the meat, without the barbecue, I should say. And then around 1 o'clock, we're going to be able to hear the Claudia Jacobs Band in a fundraiser concert. It's a pay what you can sort of fundraiser, and all are welcome no matter what, and pay more than is asked if you have it. It's for the fellowship, of course. And on June 19th, that Sunday, my last, I will lead with June Chaveni and a slew of helpers our annual Flowers and Passages service. It's a tradition for this era of ministry here, in which we remember the milestones of the fellowship, what milestones we marked in this congregational year, and also your milestones, something that you achieved this year, something that happened that made a difference in your life. And it will also be an all-hands-on-deck musical finale and a raffle reveal that I'll tell you about later, and also a secret explosion of activity after the service, of which I know no details. And I hope the room will be crowded with people for all those fun things. We have so much to be grateful for. Our opening hymn this morning is number 1010 in the teal paperback hymnal. It's called "We Give Thanks." The first verse is a little complicated. The first verse is the one in the hymnal, and we're not singing about food. And the second is an additional verse that I discovered that was made available informally among my colleagues by the composer that recognizes children amongst us. So we'll sing verse 1 in the book and then verse 2 in your order of service, either online order of service or the ones you have in your hands here. And then we'll repeat verse 1 again. And Peter's going to play the whole thing through so that you can hear it first. And when the time comes, we'll stand and sing. Welcome.
Hello. Look at that. Good morning, everyone. My name's Deborah Little, or Deb. My name is Deborah Little, or Deb. Having a little brain problem this morning. It's been a full weekend already. I'm good. So this is my last Tale for All Ages with Margie. And I have a helper this morning to tell our story. The story is called Goodbye Friend, Hello Friend, and it's to remind us that after every goodbye, there is a new hello. So I'm going to ask Connie to come up and help me, and then I see Nicolette, Isaac, Audrey, and Ethan. So if you'd like to come here up front so that you can see a little better. That would be really awesome. Any other kids that I missed? 1, 2, 3. Isaac, you're staying? Okay, cool. All right, so are you ready to begin? Okay. Can you sit, you guys, can you sit on the floor? Because Connie's got some moving around to do here, and we don't want you to get stepped on. So you could just sit right there, like that. Sit next to Audrey. You too. Perfect. Okay, so here we go with Goodbye Friend, Hello Friend by Corey Dorfield. Real close.
Goodbye, Mom. Every goodbye
Leads to a hello. Hi, I'm Charlie.
goodbye to sitting alone.
Is hello to sitting together.
Goodbye to outside.
Is hello to inside.
Goodbye to snowmen.
Is hello to puddles.
Goodbye to long walks, butterflies, and the sun.
Way up. Way up. Is hello to long talks, fireflies, and the stars.
Goodbye to an empty bowl.
Hold it up. No, hold it, wait. Is hello to a full heart. I love you, Gil.
Goodbye to only watching.
Is hello to joining in.
Goodbye to almost giving up.
Is hello to one more try.
Goodbye to superpowers.
Is hello to sweet dreams.
But sometimes, when you least expect it, a goodbye comes along that really feels like the end. Sometimes goodbye is the last thing you want to say, like when goodbye to holding tight.
Soul.
Goodbye, Charlie.
Is hello to letting go.
But no matter what, goodbye today.
Is hello to tomorrow.
Because every goodbye
Leads to a hello.
Hello, I'm Stella.
Thank you. So now I ask that you all join us in singing Go Now in Peace. And Carrie and Connie will lead the children out back to the green room. Thank you so much.
Heading Out by Philip Booth. Beyond here, there is no map. How you get there is where you'll arrive. How, dawn by dawn, you can see your way clear. In ponds, sky, just as woods you walk through give to fields. And rivers, beyond all burning, you'll cross on bridges you've long lugged behind you. Whatever your route, go lightly toward light. Once you give away all save necessity, all's mostly well. What you used to believe you owned is nothing, nothing beside how you've come to feel. You've no need now to give in or give out. The way you're going, your body seems willing. Slowly, as it may otherwise tell you, whatever it comes to, you're bound to know.
Well done. I sprang that on her. Made her cry. So, time for a little reflection time. Time for everybody who's not fully here to finally arrive in your chair. And I suggest a time maybe to think in the silence that follows my words about times in the past when you've said goodbye and then hello, because certainly the whole congregation and I really are going to be both saying goodbye and also greeting a new minister that will be with you for at least a year, probably two, Madeline Campbell. I'm sure you've all heard by now. So in particular, I'd like to have you think for just a little bit about the best way to welcome someone new who's here to guide and lead and help and walk beside you and do all the things that I've done, only differently. How do you welcome someone else so that that person can do their work, expand their wings, do things the way they do them, and come to see the way that you do things and the things that you need not to change? How do you be loving and welcoming and open-armed to change? And that's what I'll send you into the silence with. We'll come out of the silence with Peter playing Spirit of Life, which is number 123. If you don't have it by heart, you can open to that page in the hardback hymnal, the gray hymnal. Enjoy the silence together, the relative silence, shared and alone.
It is our spiritual practice to share our offering plate with a deserving social justice recipient. All cash will be shared 50-50 between UUFSB and the social justice recipient unless you instruct us differently. And if you write a check, you may instruct on the memo line how to direct or divide the amount. The recipient for the month of June is Gender Equality New York, otherwise known as Jenny. Jenny is a statewide nonprofit organization whose mission is to support transgender, gender non-binary, and intersex New Yorkers and their families. Their core mission is to advocate by engaging in education and outreach to create understanding and influence social attitudes. They provide educational fora for the general public and training sessions for healthcare providers, police, jails, and professional organizations. They also advocate in Albany for legislation ensuring equality for all New Yorkers. They were successful in helping to pass legislation to create gender-neutral bathrooms in public spaces, and they continue to push to eliminate a loitering law that profiles trans women of color, simplify changes to birth certificates, add a non-binary gender-neutral X classification to driver's licenses and state IDs, and protect trans and non-binary people who are incarcerated. Please give generously to support their valuable work.
Everyone will change. Everything will change. Everything must change. Nothing stays the same. Everyone must change. Nothing stays the same. The young become the old. Mysteries do unfold. 'Cause that's the way of time. Nothing and no one goes unchanged. There are not many things in life you can be sure of, except rain comes from the clouds, sun lights up the sky, hummingbirds do fly. Winter turns to spring. A wounded heart will heal. Yes, it will, but never much too soon. Everything must change. The young become the old, and mysteries do unfold. 'Cause that's the way of time. Nothing and no one goes unchanged. There are not many things in life you can be sure of, except rain comes from the clouds, sun lights up the sky, hummingbirds do fly. the sky, hummingbirds do fly. Rain comes from the clouds, sun lights up the sky, and music makes me cry.
Thank you, everybody. This is Mike Soloway, by the way. He's a new member. So retirement is a thing, turns out. One of those things, as we've talked about in the belonging orientation over the years, one of those things that's a big turning point, a moment of skin shedding and remaking, a notable bead on the string of beads that make up a life story. As at other turning points in life, it inspires a backward look. It necessitates a look back, really, as you begin to think about where your next footfall will land. We're doing that. Somewhere along the way, maybe shortly after midlife, took me a little longer, I think we human beings begin to comprehend that life is much less like steering something than it is like surfing a wave, which I have never done, but I have seen it done on TV. I actually like to walk. I look for it. I like to watch it. So you can substitute your own metaphor here, but we're going with this one. We are not in control of our life. Our life is the waves. This one and each one that comes along after this one, the choices are about which wave we will choose to line ourselves up to ride. Some we might have chosen will pass us by and we'll never have them back. Some we choose we will miss connecting with at the optimal moment and angle and speed. So we will ride for a minute maybe, and at some point we will misread what's happening and fall out. Some we choose will give us the ride of our life, almost like magic. Everything we know to do, every intuition we have about when to lean and tuck, everything falls into place, and we enter the tube of the wave. And we can touch the wall of water behind us as we're going, just alongside our side. It's moving and static at the same time, kind of like life. And the lip of water on the other side continuously falling. And then, boom, the wave pops us out. We've been popped out of a wave. That's what it feels like. The point is, we're always watching the water, resting or positioning ourselves or riding. We're constantly choosing, but never, almost never, ever in complete control. Even on the perfect wave, perfectly surfed, we can only say that we have perfectly synchronized our whole being with what the wave has asked us to do. If we wanted to stay on the board, we stood on. There's a perfect moment. What we choose is the skill and the wave. The very best we can do in life is to tune ourselves to what needs to happen in the moment we see or the moment we can predict, to practice a skill we love and can learn to do well, to deploy ourselves into the right situation at the right moment, sometimes by accident, and then to do our very best to sync our efforts to the conditions we find there, to be perfectly synchronized. Looking back in my life, I can see the waves I rode, or, I don't know, the chapters of my life. One of my preoccupations lately was gathering up some objects that have helped me balance and synchronize and steer through those past episodes of my life. And I still feel in my body the reverberations of those runs. And I decided the other day, for sure, that I wanted to offer a collection of such objects to you in some relatively random way. Hence the raffle that you may have seen in the special news feed yesterday or looked at this morning on the tables, 2 tables in the back. It's what we used to call a Chinese raffle, but we don't say that anymore. We say a bag raffle. So after the service, Joan Kylie is going to be selling raffle tickets if you see something back there that you want. And I hope that they go to someone who needs them, who needs the energy they hold. There are 15 objects back there that have steadied and guided and nourished me, some of them for more than 30 years. Some I made, some I found, some I bought. All of them I have kept close. And each of the 15 carry the energy of that moment in the surfing metaphor when the wave and the board and the body are all one thing. Sometime in your life that has happened to you. You know what that feels like. Maybe you're meant to take one of these things home with you. So take a look at the display today or next Sunday or the Sunday after and buy some tickets and put them in the bag associated with the object you'd like to keep. And I would be honored to give them over into the care of the person who has the most tickets in that bag. It's time for me to let them go. They've taught me. And it's time for them to go to you. They'll teach you too. I am not the same person I was when I first sat at the big round table at the Eastern Pavilion restaurant to interview with the UUFSB search committee. That was back in 2010. And the other day I took all the presidents that I've worked with, except for one who couldn't make it, to dinner there around that same round table. And we talked about the kinds of things that presidents and ministers go through from presidency to presidency, and also we just talked and ate, and it was good. I am, I think, the improved but still delightfully imperfect version of that 54-year-old that sat there. She was fresh from a difficult first settled associate ministry, newly married to a UU minister with a young adult son, and newly bereft of a dog who died at the age of 12, a beloved dog, my keeper. Though definitely still in the process of finding my voice as a teacher, preacher, and leader, at that time I was certain that I would get there. And I would be good enough at those arts in time, good enough to make a positive difference somewhere, and sometimes soonish, And lucky for me, you hired me instead of my wife. And then called me as your settled minister. But it turned out the way it was supposed to be, because I could not have done the things that she has done here. And she did those things very well. So here are some ways learning and growing with you here for these 12 years have changed me. If I were writing you notes on index cards the way you wrote them to me Sunday before last, here's what the notes would say. There are 8 of them. There could be 16 or 38. I mean, this is the sorting I did. So after many years of relatively short-term acute care work relationships with people in need of healing and comfort and challenge and orientation in the intensive care setting, where I was a nurse, in the setting of hospital chaplaincy, where I was a chaplain, and in internships and other time-limited ministries, these 12 years with you has allowed me to experience serving a beloved community of people as a whole body and as individuals over half a generation of time. I've watched babies grow into teenagers, and teenagers choose colleges and life partners. I've been with people as their lives dipped in and out of all kinds of trouble and scary things, celebrated with you all kinds of achievements, accompanied people in their dying and the bereaved through the gates of death and grief, poured ashes into the earth with you at my side. I've witnessed life in its full flow, and really for the first time, I've been able to see the pain and joy of one person or one family ripple across the web that holds us all here. I've seen the web of all existence here, and I will never be able to unsee it, thank goodness. Number 2, related to that one is the work you have called me to attend to in tending to the health of our relationships over the long term. As I have mentioned before, my birth family did not teach compassion or connection and communication very well at all. You have been patient teachers of these things. When I have succumbed to my irritation, my impulsiveness, my high expectations, and my tendency to speak and write in an uncomfortably direct way. Sometimes I think I've taught some of you to write and speak in that way as well. Being with you, believe it or not, has softened me. It's quieted me, it's schooled me, and it's humbled me. I've learned about forgiveness from your forgiveness, about apologies from your example, and about the language of bodies from the practice of parsing your body's language. I have become more fully human, a concept I never really understood before. How can you be more human? Well, you can be, it turns out. I feel like I've been raised again by a more aware and gracious family. I will always be like the biting bear drum in the raffle collection back there, irascible. But I'm softer and therefore more effective in ministry, whatever kind of ministry I turn to, because of your love. Number 3, I am more deeply and meaningfully in touch with the theological roots of my ministry because of the preparation that I have done around 400 times over these years for preaching and rites of passage and public prayer and public speaking. And of course, those deep roots help me as much as they may have helped you, probably more, because it is extraordinarily difficult to capture the experience of the holy in words, even in ritual. I don't really know what percentage of what I try to say comes through to you. Sometimes you may not even know until later, I don't know. And I'm grateful for the discipline your expectations of worship have required of me, because you have high standards. And I'm not quite sure, looking forward, where the discipline to do that kind of deep thinking is going to come from for me in retirement. Number 4, it's been a particular pleasure to feed you over the years. At belonging, at workshops for services, and coffee hour, at picnics and barbecues, and cooking classes in my house, auction meals and snacks, and my little cart of coffee and tea that I bought the moment I realized that people came to meetings without eating dinner. I've had many culinary adventures spurred by you, and I thank you. And Linda and Matt thank you, because they've had the side benefits. And my little vegetable garden thanks you, because I wanted to have fresh food for you. And thank you for being grateful eaters and good cooks yourselves, and people who know this important thing, that food is key to community and a reliable vehicle of love. And I hope my cooking has helped heal some of the ways I've hurt you. Oh, I can't believe you're making me preach this. Number 5, for the last 5 or 6 years, I've been exploring my attraction to Judaism, which is relatively new. I've been attending virtual and in-person services at synagogues here on Long Island and at Central Synagogue in Manhattan most regularly, studying Hebrew and a little bit of Arabic, and learning more about the Ukrainian branch of my family. And I have to say that the major spur for that has been Jewish members or members of this congregation who grew up in Jewish communities and who have supported the recognition of key Jewish holidays in this UU worship practice here. It was because of those services that I really began to study, so that I could lead those services with the kind of integrity you need to have in order to make it not be cultural appropriation. And in this also, I have been changed for good, and that is an ongoing place of growth for me. 6, when I was a teenager, my parents despaired. I still remember the ruckus of my ever being someone who would like to read books and write things. I struggled with writing so much that I chose my college based on whether or not I would be required to write a senior thesis. That's just to give you a hint about how difficult it was for me to put sentences together. There can be no one on earth more surprised than I that at this juncture I write for my living. You should know that it is here in this ministry, this one, that what skill I have came to fruition. You've made me a better writer by feeding back to me the energy my words generate in these rooms, especially during services, and also giving me explicit written verbal feedback about where my words took you and what they did to you there. And never on a Monday, or a Sunday afternoon. It was great. You've been so kind. You made me a better writer. I'm not a poet. I'm inspired by poetry, and I have visited the place where poetry happens inside me, and you showed me the way there. Number 7, about poetry. I want to apologize to any of you who might have been dismayed over the years about how rarely I choose ancient sacred writings as the focus of our services. I did not know when I first arrived how fundamentally, really fundamentally, I believe that revelation is still unfolding in the world, and that poetry is and actually always was its main vehicle, and that this continually evolving source of divinely inspired wisdom often acts more reliably as a transformer of our lives. In receiving poetry as scripture, you allowed me to read and collect hundreds of poems that I believe speak to UU values and understandings, and I am the richer for your endorsement, changed for the better by every poem I read to you, by every poem I sent you on request after services, by every life touched by the poems that you have then passed forward to people you love. Poetry is the language of the holy. We've gotten better at it over the years. And finally, though this list, as I said, could go on and on, I will mention that I have traveled to more distant places since I have been here than ever before in my life. Linda and I, and sometimes Matt, went to every UU General Assembly in various cities across the US. We visited Peru and Ecuador and Paris and the south of France and Barcelona and Iceland and Morocco and Nova Scotia and the great foreign country of Maine and several of Utah's great national parks, just to name a few places. There are few activities more enriching and mind-blowing than travel. You are travelers. It's a benefit of our socioeconomic status here in this area, but you are moved to travel, to learn, to take photographs, to bring them back, and to remember the lessons there. And I became a traveler when I became one of you. So I've been changed for good by you, my friends. And because I'm almost 66 now, an official elder, that is so weird, I know that while I have been among you, we have been collaborating together, mostly unknowingly, in preparing each other, minister and congregation, for the next big wave upon which we will set our boards to surf. This 12-year-long unfolding wave has dropped us off on the beach to rest and to contemplate the ride. There's much more to come to us separately, but I really think in many ways we go forward carrying so much of each other that we can never really be parted. So here's the news flash. Sunday after next, I will tell you a little bit about what I hope for you as you enter into the work of interim ministry with Madeline and begin your search for your next settled minister. And that's the end of my list and my sermon. But it's not the last one. And now we have our closing hymn. It's number 1068 in the teal hymnal, Rising Green. I get to hear you sing all my favorite hymns in these last services. This one really does strongly evoke my theological roots in earth-centered spirituality, which is all over the table with the raffle bags on it. We will sing these words: "My foot carries days of the old into new. Our dreaming shows us the way." Please stand in spirit or in body to sing together. Rising Green. Our closing words are a meditation I actually did for our youth who were celebrating their coming of age yesterday afternoon in Huntington. And I realized that really these words are for all of us because in one way or another we're all coming of some age. You never stop growing and changing. So I wanted to share it with you. Freedom is organized by choices, some obvious, glaring, some harder to see, some easier to recognize in looking back than in looking ahead at the lay of the land, mapping the consequences of this way to go or that. So many choices as you make your way forward on the course of your life that spirals towards and away from others, towards and away from your home, your friends, your church, your family. Remember this: those choices are never solely about you. Every choice you make creates a vibration on the web that other beings feel, that affects their lives, limits or multiplies their choices. May your sense of the worth and dignity of others and of yourself only deepen as you walk your talk, think your thoughts, share your genius, speak your mind. May you never be so free on that interconnected web that you become numb to your oneness with all that is, to the gifts of those before, behind, beyond, below, and within, with whom you are linked in life, to the ways in every moment we imagine our world into being together. May you never be so free on that web that you become numb to the difference you can make for others who also have a stake in your choices. May you be blessed with life-giving connections in community and an elegant balance in your lives between personal freedom and loving responsibility to the sacred whole we also are. And I will add that, as I often do, I made a typo when I wrote sacred and I wrote scared. It can be scary there in Holy Land. Blessed be, and amen.
Margie had requested this song as the first song, the prelude in the first change service, and the postlude in this last change service. So we're happy to sing this song for her. Sometimes it takes a rainy day just to let you know everything's gonna be alright. I've been dreaming in the sun. Won't you wake me up, someone? I need a little peace of mind. Wake me from this dream that I have dreamed so many times. I need a little peace of mind. Oh, I need a little peace of mind. When you open up your life to the living, all things come spilling in on you. When you're flowing like a river, the changer and the changed, you've got to spill some over, spill some over, spill some over, overall, filling up and spilling over, an endless waterfall, filling up and spilling over, overall, filling up and spilling over, an endless waterfall, filling up and spilling over, overall, like the rain falling on the ground, like the rain falling all around. Sometimes it takes a rainy day just to let you know everything's gonna be up and spilling over. It's an endless waterfall, filling up and spilling over, overall, filling up and spilling over. It's an endless waterfall, filling up and spilling over, overall. Ah, ba 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 da ba 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 da ba ba da ba da ba ba da ba ba da. Ah, ba 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 da ba 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 da ba ba da ba da ba 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 ba.
I bought you a present. You can take that out. It's not a hat. There's a cushion. This is a Tibetan Buddhist singing bowl. And around the top edge on the outside is the last sentence, the last concept in the Heart Sutra of the Buddha. And I'm just going to read it. It says, Gate, Gate, Paragate, Parasamgate, Bodhi, Svaha. Gate means gone. Gone from suffering into liberation from suffering, gone from forgetfulness to mindfulness, gone from duality to non-duality. Paragate means gone all the way to the other shore. Gone all the way over into enlightenment. The Sam in Parasamgate means really, really, quite completely gone. And Bodhi is the light inside, this light inside you, enlightenment, awakening, which is the highfalutin way of saying why we're here on Sundays and why we make community get together. And Svaha is a cry of joy or excitement, like welcome or hallelujah or yay, I made it, or something like that. So I'm leaving this bell with you, even though I wanted to get one that was bigger and more resonant for this room, but I fell in love with this one because in the Vespers that we have done, we've sung Gate, Gate together several times, and that it was there, and that it's a heart sutra from this minister of the heart and nurse of hearts. I wanted you to remember our ministry, which has included a Tibetan bowl or a Buddhist bell of some kind, especially since COVID began, because we began using it in the virtual services. And now you have one that you can use from time to time in whatever way you want to start meetings or to participate in the service or to meditate with on your own. And I will sound it for us as our closing bell in just a moment. I think we're going to try to sing. Maybe you'll sing it in the future. I want you to hear it first with this. I don't know if you can hear that low hum.
I feel it.
This is the singing. And this is the way you would sound the bell in ritual. It's the wake-up bell. I'll give some lessons about how to do all those things. Thank you. Remember us. And amen, enjoy. There's a raffle back there.